Now, Gerg, spin it around and hypnotize Bruce. Yeah, hypnotize him. I think he's under your spell. Now turn around and double hypnotize. Yeah! Very nicely done. Thank you, Gerg. Welcome to the Qween After Show, Look at Her, where we have our celebrity guests look at some of the Ha's they have worked with and spill a little tea, throw a little shade, or just tell us something that we don't know. Today, our guest is the legendary Mr. Bruce Vilanch. Yay! Yes. And of course, we're still with the beautiful Lady Red Couture. Hello, darling.
Hello.
Yeah, son.
Yeah. You look gorgeous today. I love this outfit. You're like a piñata of love.
Well, I'm trying to just be happy and in the moment, you know?
Oh, you know? Speaking of happy and in the moment, don't forget Erica Couture and the Wake Up Wave. Wake up. Hi. So, Bruce, this is a little game where we're just going to show you some pictures of the many superstars that you've worked with. We've never had a look at her so packed with stars
oh my God.
that people have actually met, that you've been so close with. We even came in like, you once passed by Reese Witherspoon at the park. But like, this is like you and them together.
A veritable short bus of stars.
Yes! The short bus is filthy rich. All right, let's begin. Look at her.
Ooh, Miss Ross.
Miss Ross, the boss.
I know. I once said that to her. I said, you never asked me to call you Miss Ross. And she said, I've been meaning to speak to you about that. Well, I did Mahogany with her. I am in Mahogany.
You are in Mahogany, aren't you?
I am. RuPaul tells me I'm in 32 minutes in.
Wow.
Because, RuPaul knows every frame of that movie.
Yes, he does.
And, she lives in my neighborhood, and we'll just be on the street, and we'll look at each other and go, the Kabuki finale!
Right.
Just know it all. But I have one scene that's left. We shot a whole bunch of other stuff in Chicago that was cut out because Berry Gordy fired the director.
Right.
And took over himself and said, the problem with this picture is she doesn't get to Rome fast enough. Let's get her out of Chicago and to Rome. So we cut a lot of the Chicago stuff, including a couple of scenes I had, and got her to Rome. But there's one scene that remains in the thing. And I play a dress designer. She comes to me for a job.
Right.
And I'm sewing. I didn't know how to sew. I still don't know how to sew.
So you just did this.
I sewed my shirt to her dress.
Wow.
And she turns to go and she pulled me off the stool because I was attached.
Amazing.
But that didn't make it to the picture. I'm searching for the outtake. But that was when I met her. And then I started writing for her years later.
Yeah.
A couple of years later I wrote, when she left Motown and did her first act on her own. I wrote that, and we did an Emmy-winning special, and a lot of stuff for her concerts after that.
Amazing.
Yeah,
the boss.
She's pretty great.
She is. Look at her.
Okay, let's go on.
Oh, sorry. We have just so many.
This is when we were doing Mahogany.
Yes. Wait. Go back. Come back. Just go here to break. And get Diana Ross back up there so we can edit.
Maybe it's not worth it. When we were doing Mahogany, I would see her all the time, and she was playing this kind of low end character. I mean, she wasn't a glamorous character until she got to Rome.
Right.
So I never really saw her in the full slap and drag. And then one night after we were shooting, and then she had to go out to make an appearance somewhere, and the elevator door opened, and Diana Ross walked out.
Right.
And it was like I thought, oh my God, it's Diana Ross. And then I suddenly realized I've been working with her all day.
Right.
She was this skinny little person.
Right. That skinny little lady is a superstar.
It was Diana Ross. So it's amazing. When Bette said, to our friend, don't take a picture of me because I don't have my face on.
Right.
That's what she meant.
Oh my God.
It's like, without that, she's somebody else. And here she is now.
Well, and speaking of which, look at her.
Look at her. I mean, but she's got, speaking of full slap drag, I'm saying, who is she wearing on her tits? Is that Little Richard?
I think that's just random models. This is her in the new Marc Jacobs
This is
campaign.
her Marc Jacobs, the Marc Jacobs campaign.
I mean, you've worked for her for so many years. What's something we might not know about Bette?
God, what
do we know about Bette even? It's all a mystery.
Well, she was born in Honolulu.
Yeah.
Her parents are from Paterson, New Jersey, and my father used to date her mother.
What?
In high school. We found this out. It was an eerie coincidence. We found out later on, the first time she was on Johnny Carson, and I called my parents and said, I'm working with this girl who's on the Johnny Carson show. And my father watched and said, she looks a lot like Ruth Schindel. And I said, who's Ruth Schindel? Girl I dated in high school. I said, well, what happened to Ruth? He said, well, she married Chesty Midler. First of all, Midler.
Right.
Chesty.
Chesty.
Well, he said he was the only Jewish guy who worked out.
Wow.
And so he had pecs, and so we called him Chesty. And I called her up and I said, I have a new name for you.
Oh.
You're Chesty Midler from now on. Anyway, and then I got to meet Chesty himself. What happened was they ran away to Hawaii. They eloped and ran away to Hawaii because their families didn't want them to get married. And they stayed in Hawaii, and they raised their kids in Hawaii. They were all born there. And so the first joke in Bette's act was, it's very tough being the only Jewish girl in a Samoan neighborhood.
Right.
Because she grew up surrounded by Samoans and Filipinos and Japanese and Chinese. There were no other Jews. There were very few haoles, which is Hawaiian for white people. I don't know, not many people know. It'll be in my book about the Paterson Nexus. It's everywhere.
And you worked with Bette on that famous last appearance on the Johnny Carson show.
Yes, with Mark Shaman. We sat and wrote that special song that she sang before she did that fabulous number that.
One for the road, right?
For my baby.
Amazing.
But yeah, we did. You Made Me Love You. We rewrote the old Judy Garland version of You Made Me Love You. You Made Me Watch You, and she won an Emmy for that, which was kind of staggering and wonderful. But it was that was an incredible night because he only had that show to do, and then the last show was a solo thing, and it was Bette and Robin.
Yeah,
together and together and apart, and the atmosphere backstage was just so kind of melancholy. But let's make this one great. He had Linda Hopkins, who had played Bessie Smith, 30 years before Queen Latifah. She did the off-Broadway musical Me and Bessie. Linda Hopkins was a great gospel singer, and she used to come on Fridays and make fried chicken for him.
Wow.
He loved fried chicken. He loved her fried chicken. And she was on the show like 45 times, Linda Hopkins. She was a big black woman who was like, punch, punch, punch. And so she was there cooking. So we were all like, fat and sloppy off of fried chicken.
Amazing.
And then having to do this heavily emotional show. But it was a phenomenal night. I mean, and to this day, it's in the Museum of Television History and all that kind of stuff.
It's legendary.
I recommend it to anyone.
I recommend it as well.
Works.
Let's continue to look at her.
Look at her. Oh, well, there's the Sarkeesian.
Oh, yeah.
Sarkeesian. That is what I call her. That's her real name. Yeah. They're Armenians, the Sarkeesians.
Oh.
And her real name is Sherilyn Sarkeesian. And so I'm the only one who calls her Sarkeesian. But on the last tour, when I went in, and she looked at me and she said, Vilanch, you're still in the business? Unusual to see a man do a Cher impression.
Right.
And I said, I like this face. Keep this one. She's been around forever. My joke always is when they opened King Tut's tomb, they found a note from him to Cher.
Right.
Cuneiform. He'd written it with a thing. And she's ageless. I mean, she's 60s, 70s, 80s. I mean, she's had hits in every decade. And what's amazing is you go see her now, and she's doing Cher. I mean, she's doing this character that she created, and what people love about her is that they know that she shoots from the hip, and that she knows how outrageous everything is, and she's in on the joke. So it's a great show. Plus, their music is terrific.
And you've been writing for her for so long. Like you said in the main show,
long time.
You wrote her on her variety show with Sunny, her solo one, Sunny's one.
A lot of work over the years. And the most unusual one was after Sunny died, we did a TV special called Cher Remembers Sunny. And she told stories about Sonny, and I was on the other side of the camera. You always wonder who they're talking to.
Right.
You know, like on Modern Family. Who are they talking to?
Yeah.
Well, she was talking to me. I was asking her the questions, which of course were edited out, and she was telling stories about Sonny.
Amazing.
And I thought, this is just so unusual.
Right.
You know, I mean, that this could be done. I mean, people can write PhD theses about you know, how private moments have become public in such a grand way, and by grand I mean huge. It's an unusual. It's a phenomenon of our generation. Really.
It certainly is.
Because you know there used to be people would say no, that's all private. No, nothing is done privately anymore. Once you're at that level of public personality.
Yeah.
That's much too deep for a show with all this pink.
Well, we like to get deep occasionally. Sometimes we get deep in inappropriate ways. Look at her.
Oh, Dolly.
Dolly. Now, when did you start working with Dolly?
I started working with Dolly in the 80s, and we did a TV show, which was a legendary bomb.
Oh, the Dolly variety show? I personally was obsessed with it at the time, so thank you for that.
It was the last gasp of variety. I mean, you know, cable killed variety, a lot of things, but partially on that thing was she wasn't the Dolly that everybody loved, because she'd lost a lot of weight, and she was...
Oh, right, this was she'd gotten really skinny.
Yeah, and she was like a player. And I think the audience kind of went, well, that's not, you know, Dolly is like, she's kind of your sister, she's kind of heavy, and she's sort of, you know, and kind of folksy, and she was suddenly glamorous. And I think that was a mistake. And I also think it was a mistake to try and make her do Carol Burnett kind of things, sketches and stuff, because she's Dolly. You know, she's not adaptable that way. She gave it her all, but what we wound up doing was turning it into a weekly event show, kind of like what they did with Judy Garland, where every week was Dolly in concert, but we put her someplace. Hawaii, Nashville, Broadway, Hollywood, the Grand Ole Opry. I mean, her old high school. I mean, every week was an event until we played the show out.
Right.